Alistair Cockburn recently stated that agile has gotten too complicated. In the reference talk, Cockburn claims that all you need to get to the heart of agile is 4 words: collaborate, deliver, reflect, and improve. And while Cockburn says it's just that simple, he also admits that it's difficult to do. Cockburn is not the first person to have pointed out the importance of keeping things simple, even when we know it's not easy to do. You may have heard a famous quote often attributed to Albert Einstein. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Well, in fact, Einstein never said those words, but what he did say can provide insight for us into why keeping things simple is not always as easy to do as we might think. The actual quote from Einstein, which is a bit more complicated, is the supreme goal of all theory is to make the irreducible basic elements as simple and as few as possible without having to surrender the adequate representation of a single datum of experience. Now, what I want to do in this short video blog is to focus on 4 of Einstein's words that appear towards the end of that quote: adequate representation of experience. And I want to explore those words in the context of 3 of Cockburn's words. Let's start with Cockburn's collaboration word. Just what might an adequate representation of collaboration experience look like on a software development effort? Now, when I think of collaboration, I first think of stakeholders. And I ask questions such as, are the stakeholder groups identified? And are the key stakeholder groups represented? And is the representative authorized? And has that representative agreed to their responsibilities and the collaboration approach? Not only that, we then need to ask questions like, is the representative actually involved, providing timely feedback on decisions, doing what their responsibilities call for, promptly communicating changes back to the group they're representing? I also think about the fact that collaboration isn't just with external stakeholders. We also collaborate with our team members. That means the team is working as one unit, which means if I'm collaborating with my team members, that I may need to assist them if their competencies are not up to where they need to be to get their work done. And as we step back and think about this, as we break down collaboration this way, which is what we need to do to really understand what the word means, it starts to look a bit more complicated. Now let's take Cockburn's delivery word. And again, we ask, just what might an adequate representation of delivery experience look like on a software development effort? Now, when I think of delivery, I first think of architecture. Has an appropriate architecture been selected that will support not just the current delivery, but the future deliveries that we're going to be needing to make? Have the key technical risks been identified, again, that could get in our way of future deliveries? I ask questions such as, are all the interfaces demonstrated? Have we taken those into consideration with the architecture? Because once again, those interfaces, those dependencies are going to affect our future deliveries. I ask questions such as, are the defect levels acceptable so that the customer is happy with the delivery? And are the system functionality and performance requirements have we demonstrated those and adequately tested them? I also ask questions such as, is the user documentation there and the support documentation that's going to be needed for the delivery so the users know how to use the system and the people who need to support the system understand what they need to do. Now, once again, when you start to break down the word delivery this way, which is what you need to do to really understand what it means, it starts to look a bit more complicated. Another thing that you are seeing now is that I look at software development through the lens of essence. I use the checklists, and I do this not because there's anything magical or new about the essence checklists, but rather because it is a very efficient way to keep the model in my head, to keep what we've known for 50 years in my head, which can help me communicate and have a good conversation with my clients. Let's now move on to Cockburn's reflect word. And again, we ask, just what might an adequate representation of reflection experience look like on a software development effort? In this case, I wondered how a team that didn't have a lot of experience would go about conducting their reflection meetings. This reminded me of a study that was done at Carnegie Mellon West a few years ago, where a group of students were asked to use the Essence framework to help them with their reflection meetings. After their reflection meetings, the students were interviewed to find out what they thought about the Essence framework. And one of those students said that Essence helped us think about things that could be problems that we didn't know could be problems. And when I heard that, it particularly resonated with me because one of the goals when we developed the Essence checklists was to help people understand common software experiences where teams can get in trouble, even if they don't know about these types of problems from their own experiences. In other words, it helps you identify risks that inexperienced people and even experienced people who may forget at times might not recall this could be a risk. Now, if you're wondering about Cockburn's fourth word, improve, once the team has reflected and identified potential problems or actual problems, it's their responsibility to identify improvements to their way of working going forward. Therefore, they're continually tuning their way of working, and those improvements can be happening in any of the 7 dimensions of software identified by the Essence kernel. Carnegie Mellon has reported that 60 to 80% of the cost of software is in rework. Rework results from decisions made with inadequate information. Inadequate information implies risk. Therefore, anything we can do to reduce rework and reduce uncertainty has the potential of reducing the cost of software development by 60 to 80%. While Cockburn may be right that the heart of Agile is simple, he is also right when he said it is still difficult, and therefore most developers may need a little extra help. The heart of Essence gets developers to think about those experiences that Einstein referred to, and that developers need to be thinking about to make software development as simple as possible, but not simpler. As always, feedback is encouraged. Thank you.